today we're going to go back and use our project from the day 6. Yeah, if you scroll up, it's the day 6.unity package. You should be able to import it into your project, or yeah, if you've been following along, you should already have that day 6 project on your machine. But basically, we want to have our scene here with the streets, the mean streets of Zombie Town, and our humans. Yeah, if you recall, we ended up finding the Toony Tiny People package on the Unity Asset Store. It's free, and then they have an expansion pack if you want more people. But the starter pack that was free has like a couple of avatars, and looks like our zombies went missing somewhere. But yeah, we can drop them in. They're all in our prefabs. Yeah, that was another good example where we created all of this stuff in basically 2 hours. And yeah, some refreshers on how to implement game objects and components and things. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. If you got day 6 open, this is kind of where we want to be. If we click on our main camera here, it shows this is where our main camera is at. Let's take our main camera and kind of zoom out a little bit more. We want to be able to see a lot of things in the scene, because what I want you guys to do is, as an example, add a UI canvas to the scene, and then what I want you to do is down in the lower left-hand corner or upper right-hand corner, somewhere on your canvas, have a text field, text box, and in that text box, I want you to populate it with the game object that your mouse is hovering over. And so in order to do this example, yeah, you have to create your UI canvas. That's the easy part. You just right-click and somewhere inside of the hierarchy and add your UI. We're going to be adding a text field. That part's easy. And then this text field wants to get populated with the name of whatever game object your mouse is hovering over. And so if you wanted that code is right here. We used it last class period as the camera.main screen.2ray. It's basically a ray that...
Day 6 or the day 8 package?
Day 6. So day 8 didn't have quite as much stuff. You could do it with the day 8 package, but there's not very many game objects in here. Yeah, you could do it with the day 8 as well. Day 8 already has a canvas on there. I think we had a text field down here in the corner that showed us the distance between our different players or characters. And then we had a generate button where we could generate new characters. All of this is using the pathfinding algorithms, but for some reason the package didn't import properly. Is there a compiler error, Adam? Or what's the error message that you're getting when you do the import?
I might ask what version he's using too.
Yeah, we're currently using 2019.3. Yeah, in our first class, I think we said we were going to try and use 2020, but a lot of the examples on the Unity Learn, Unity School online store are made for 2019 still. And so we downgraded. Actually, I don't know if Unity has put out their full version of 2020 yet. That would be an interesting thing to go and check. Open up Unity Hub, and it looks like they still have not released Unity 2020 yet. It still looks like they have a new beta version out, but yeah, it's pretty miraculous. We're almost to July, and they don't have 2020 out yet. Anyhow, we're using actually this version right here. Most of the subversions don't change that much, but yeah, the major versions, usually there's a few things that end up breaking. If you've got a project that you're working on, just be prepared to fix a few things whenever you upgrade to the newest version of Unity. Usually something gets deprecated, either the old particle system or something. Were you able to get it, Adam, or maybe help if you could try sharing your screen, I guess, and could take a look at the error together, just because other people might run into the same problem. All right. It doesn't matter, I guess, too much if you can't get day 6 imported. It's just more interesting because look at all this stuff in the hierarchy, right? We've got a ton of things that we can hover over with our mouse. In the day 8 example, there's really only a few things that you can hover over. But yeah, why don't you guys go ahead and create a script file that updates the text and puts it into and the text gets updated with whatever your mouse is hovering over. That's kind of a way of going from the 3D world back into the 2D world. Because last class we had the 2D world going into the 3D world where you can move the scroll bar, hit the generate player, and it throws things into your 3D scene. Let's now have it go the other way with where whatever your mouse is hovering over, it puts it into your canvas. And this is useful for creating submenus and things in games. Go ahead, Adam.
So the day 6 package gave me the it gave me the project with the cylinder and the walls. Yes.
Okay, that's the day 8 package. We can work with day 8. Day 8 was the last package that got uploaded.
So what I downloaded was package 6. He said that one was supposed to be.
I did the 6 one. I'm getting the same thing as him. There's like 3 walls. There's a little tiny cylinder in the middle.
Yeah.
Day 6.
With the day 8 package?
No, day 6.
That's day 6.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's not the city.
Let me export our day 6 again. And as long as this isn't too big, perhaps I uploaded that day 6 at the beginning of, we'll call it day 6.2. I don't remember. Maybe I had uploaded that day 6 at the beginning of class or at the end of class, but this one will be our most recent and kind of get everybody on the same page. So let me know if you guys aren't able to get this package imported. So only 10 megs, so hopefully it goes pretty quick. And then our scenes will all be identical, which is good. And then, yeah, once you've got it downloaded, go ahead and implement that new task that I told you guys to implement. And then once somebody gets it done, just type into the chat, and then we'll all kind of go through it together. Yeah, I'll give you guys 5-10 minutes to do that, because it might take a few minutes for you guys to get everything imported. For some reason your import doesn't work, just share your screen and we'll go through the import together, but hopefully you don't have any issues importing what I just uploaded.
Could we get all the packages uploaded like Google Drive or some location after the class is over?
Yeah, should be able to do that. I mean, all the packages I think right now are on the Slack in more or less chronological
eventually,
order.
You get the 10,000
yeah,
message.
I don't know how close IN3 is to hitting that threshold, but yeah, we'll get all of the packages onto the Google Drive as well. I might even end up going back and cleaning up some of them. I'm not sure if Aaron wants to have all of this material available for people after the course. Yeah, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground in the last 4.5 weeks. Almost everything, I think. Well, not everything. Unity's got a lot of specialty functions and features and things, but if you've been following along, you should be able to know, yeah, you should know how to create a proper game at this point. Something that's fun and basic at least. We've gone over levels, we've gone over all of the components, all of the major functions that you can use in Unity. We've even gone over some of the advanced things like the mesh, the nav mesh, so that you can use Unity's built-in AI engine and the physics engine. We didn't really cover the VR stuff too much. I think in the first class or two there was people that voiced a strong desire to cover the VR stuff, but then just the people that have been attending recently weren't that interested in the VR stuff, and so we didn't really get a chance to cover it. People didn't really have the hardware either. If you're going to be doing VR development, you really want to have the handsets and the headset and be able to see and interact with the VR environment, which is not. Yeah, we just didn't have the right hardware for it this time around. I'm not sure if Aaron will want to have another class where we cover that stuff, and then I'm not sure if there'll be funding for it. Some of the stuff is expensive, especially now because there's such high demand for it, because everybody's still kind of in their houses more or less on quarantine. Video game sales are way up right now, but anyhow, yeah.
So with the package, it did download it into the into the project. It didn't place anything into the hierarchy, but I do see like the city and street prefabs and the
okay.
zombies.
There's going to be a here. Let me share my screen again. There should be a scene, right? I guess most of the time in our classes we only have a single scene. But yeah, if there's nothing showing up in your hierarchy, that's probably because you don't have the scene open. So you're going to want to go ahead and double click on the sample scene. I think it's called. Let me make sure this gets saved. It's actually called demo scene. That's our old one. Where is our demo scene. Looks like we put it, there's a search bar called demo scene, and it's actually in a scene subfolder inside of simple city plane right here. So go ahead and double click on the demo scene, and then it should open up everything for you. Yeah, I went ahead and added my canvas already. It looks like my text box is a little off in left field there. Just use the handles here to adjust it. And then if I want to create a new script here, it's probably easier to put it on my text box. Make sure mouse hover over info. And our script's not too complicated. You're going to want to put it into update. And all you really have to do, as long as you have that new script on your text component, is to set the text component equal to whatever the mouse is hovering over, which is this line of code right here. Or at least this is the position. And then you're going to want to get information from that. This ends up sending back the array. And then if you recall, the array can be used to determine what collider you're colliding with. How are people doing? Get the package imported, canvas added, new script added, and then code in the script added, and that should be about it. Sure, I'll go back to the script real quick. That was script's kind of the part. Oops, that's the wrong one. Yeah, so I put in an update because it's happening every frame. This is the position of our mouse and where it's at according to the camera. This is the thing that we're hitting, if we're hitting anything at all. And if we do hit something, then we take that something and we get the name. This is a raycast. I thought we could go straight to game object, actually. I don't think we... Yeah, we don't need transform. Oh, we do. Interesting. It's because raycast hit is not inheriting from behavior or mono behavior. It's just a structure. And so at least the structure has the transform. I don't know why they don't put the game object in here. That would be maybe useful, but at least the transform always has a game object. So we're able to do transform.gameObject.name because game object is what keeps the tag, the layer, whether or not the game object is active or not, as well as the name, which I'm not seeing, but it's right there.
So I've been getting an error that says in the console. Okay. So the object reference is not set to an instance of an object. Mouse hover over update.
My guess was that you're probably not attaching the script to the text box game object, but yeah, if it is, then you can do a screen share and we'll look at it together. But my guess is it throwing it at line 15 or whatever this line is right here in your script?
Never mind. It's yeah, I switched it to yeah, I accidentally had it on the canvas.
Yep. So if for some reason, yeah, it can't find the component, when you do get component, it will throw a null reference error. If we wanted to get a better error message, you could do if not this, which implies that it's not existing. Then we would do debug.log error no text component on the object you have mouse hover over info script on. And I really should be fully qualifying these. I don't use brackets nearly as much as I should. So now, yeah, if we were to go back here, we accidentally had this somewhere else over on our canvas instead. Then when we hit run, it'll tell us actually every frame. You can see this going up like mad, that there's no text component where our mouse hover over InfoScript is. And if, say we forgot where we put our mouse hover over InfoScript, Unity has a nice function here where you can right-click on your script and do find references in scene, and it will tell you, oh yeah, it's right here on the canvas. And so this is a useful feature, I don't think we've gone over it yet, where you can find things like scripts and prefabs and materials in your scene if you don't remember where you dropped them in, because sometimes your scene can get very, very big. As you can see, we already cleaned up this scene. Remember when we opened up the scene right when we got the package from the Unity store, all of these street pieces were in the main root of the scene. And so, yeah, it was kind of difficult finding anything because we had all of these different street pieces. We had all of our different buildings were their own game objects. And we only had a single side of the street, if you recall, by creating prefabs out of those groups of game objects. We were able to create our city in a relatively quick and easy fashion. Although, yeah, it looks similar. Remember, we inverted it to make it look a little more not so mirror-like. Anyhow, let's move that script back over to the text game object where it belongs, and that way we won't get any of these error messages. Instead, we'll get our anticipated functionality, which is it shows the name of the game object here on our canvas. So if we hover over one of these big, huge zombie fighter females, then it gives us the name of that game object. I don't know why it's actually not hitting her. It's possible that she doesn't have a collider, would be my guess. So we just scroll here, click here. It looks like the collider that we're using for our large female doesn't exist. And so that's why when we try and hover over, our array actually goes right through because there's no collider to hit and give us information. All of these other things, our trees and everything, they all have box colliders on them. But our demo female person here, she doesn't have a proper collider anywhere. So let's turn off our runtime, because anything that we do at runtime gets obliterated when we turn the game off. Let's go to our female here, and let's make sure that she has a capsule collider that goes around her. If you expand it, it'll show you, oh, that doesn't look right. That's kind of around her feet. We want to bring that up a little bit, make sure the height is appropriate. And now when we hit save and we hit run, whenever we mouse over that other person, now we get the correct information, where before it said street. Now our collider is actually hitting, or our camera ray is actually hitting her collider. Likewise, I don't think our zombies here in the background, that's where the zombies are. Actually, remember we generated the zombies at runtime, kind of as an example of how to generate prefabs at runtime. These our humanoids were static, before you hit the play button, but these zombies are actually generated in our code by forgot what I think it was called our people generator, and then it was generating our extra guy here as well as the zombies. If we wanted our zombies to get detected by our new mouse hover over info, the easiest way of doing that is to find them in our project, and then you can open up the prefab with the prefab editor, and we just need to add a capsule collider around this guy and fix it just like we fixed the one. I didn't mean to do radius, I meant to do height. Maybe a little radius actually. I got the arms encapsulated in there. And now when we close this out and we go back over here and we hit run, our camera is a little far away, but it still should, if we get it over, see how it's detecting that it's hitting a zombie now. If we wanted to add a magic power where whenever you click on something, it destroys that game object, let's do that as our next example. Add functionality to your mouse hover over info so that it destroys any game object that you click on. And that should be pretty interesting, pretty powerful tool. Basically goes in the same function, but you add another if block where if mouse button is down, then delete, it's called destroy any game object that you click on. All right, so yeah, not too many new concepts there, basically just putting together pre-existing concepts that we've touched upon. We're getting input mouse down, key, or not key, you can, input can be used either for keys or for mouse or for really any input device. All of that is managed by Unity inside of your project settings. You can edit the input manager, and this is where you can set up your different inputs. We covered that in a previous course. So back here in our script, yeah, we again do our raycast and make sure that we're getting back whatever collider we collide with. We get the transform of that collider, and then from there we can get the game object itself, and then destroy is our magic powerful function that can be used to destroy any game object that you pass into it. So now if we come back over, oops, to our project here, and we hit play, we can click on different game objects and destroy them. Yep, very quickly remove. Oh, look at that. Everyone understand how that worked? Let's move our camera up here and get a better idea of what exactly is happening. Oops. Let's open up this. That way we get the camera preview. Can get a better idea of what's going on with the camera. If we click here and remove the ground underneath these capsules, these female capsule colliders, they won't have anything to stand on, and so they quite simply fall through. Anyone know why these ones aren't falling through? It's because they don't have gravity, and they don't have gravity because they don't have a rigid body. My memory doesn't serve me that well, but I'm pretty sure that this, yeah, at some point 2 weeks ago when we created this scene, we added a rigid body to this avatar, and yeah, that's why she falls and the other ones don't. If we copied this component onto the other female character here, and then we hit play, now we will see her fall if we get rid of the collider that's beneath. Same thing if we wanted to have these zombies affected by gravity, we could simply go into the prefab, add a rigid body, and then they would also fall as an effect of the gravity. In general, yeah, if you're using any kind of physics in Unity, make sure that your game objects have a rigid body. Yeah. And the colliders don't necessarily match the mesh render. We kind of covered that a couple of times, but just because something looks like it's this big, if your capsule collider here is super small or not the same size, then you're not going to hit it, right? In this case, the capsule collider that we just added by default is really at the person's feet. So now if we went and we wanted to hover over or try and delete that person, it thinks that we're still hitting the street. It's because the collider is way down here. You can still hit it, but it's easier if you get your collider and your mesh render to match up. So you can just adjust it here and adjust the radius here. Nope, not radius, height. And now it's a little closer. Yeah, depending on how your need for accuracy, you can kind of really zoom in and make sure it's as close as you need it to be. Because right now, yeah, anything that collides with his hand will not trigger because it's outside of our capsule collider. Likewise, if you had a first-person shooter and you were to get hit right here, that would still be considered a hit. So that's, I guess, one of the reasons why some people have multiple colliders on a single object. So if we wanted to have a capsule collider for just his melon, we could make this capsule collider smaller, move it up, and have one for his head. And in some cases, a lot of games, headshots are worth more than a body shot. And this is how you do it, right? You have two different capsule colliders, and your script is actually set up so that the different colliders affect the hit rate in different ways. And so, yeah, that would be a collider for our headshot, and then we could have another capsule collider for the rest of the body. Oops. Here. Like that. Even that, you might want to make something like for the body, and then if you did one for the arms, you could do the arms as well. You have a capsule collider. Oops, I keep doing that. If we really wanted one for the arms, it would be easier to probably create a separate game object here for the arm, because see how his arm's kind of sideways? We can't just turn one of the capsule colliders sideways without turning all of them sideways. So let's put this most recent capsule collider that we added onto his arm here. And that way we can take our capsule collider and rotate it in the X direction so that our, no, I apologize, in the Z direction here. And this will make our arm right here like that. And this is all just stuff. Usually you have a modeler do or a graphic designer, right? Because it's not really having to do with writing scripts or code or anything. You're just getting your colliders and mesh renders to match up. You know, it's not hard, but it is a time-consuming process, and it is important, right? If your collider is off, the game doesn't work and people will complain about it. This is actually what I did when I worked for Electronic Arts, is I adjusted colliders on orcs and things. I worked on the Lord of the Rings, the Third Age, and yeah, just adjusted colliders on different models all day long. Yeah, we're not going to do the other arm just because, yeah, you can see how time consuming it can be. But yeah, let's go ahead and save the scene anyhow. We've got quite a bit of functionality that we've added. Do you guys want to do a refresher of the mesh render functionality that we did last class? Do we want to have it so if you right click on an object, it destroys it, but if you left click on it, our avatars will try and go to that particular location? Does that sound like a good example? Or yeah, just want to make sure that you guys are learning and understanding the things that you want out of the course. Yeah, I guess it'll be a good refresher of what we covered in class last Thursday. Why don't you go ahead and create a function where, yeah, if you right click on something in the scene, your avatars take off and go after that thing. Yeah, don't forget to add the mesh components, the nav components. You're going to need a nav mesh surface, and then you bake it, and it will hopefully be able to detect automatically all of the buildings that are in the scene and the trees, and it'll know that, hey, the streets are safe to walk on. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to know if it determines if it can actually walk down these alleyways. See how these alleyways are not really very wide. It'll be interesting to see if our capsule colliders can fit down these alleyways. So yeah, why don't you guys go ahead, take 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll see if yeah, if we can get the nav mesh stuff working on this particular scene. I think it should be fine. I mean, there's a gap in the game objects here, but I'm pretty sure it's smart enough to know that, hey, this is an acceptable distance to go. So yeah, I'll give you guys 15, 20 minutes and we'll check back and make sure that everybody got their nav mesh stuff working in this scene. Okay, Adam, you're having problems baking the nav mesh. Does it give you an error message? Yeah, one thing that might be useful is having all of the level objects on top or underneath as children of a single level object, right? Because there's a bunch of different streets and buildings and things, and if you have all of those underneath a single level object, that might fix your issue with the nav mesh not baking correctly.
I mean, the main problem is that I'm not able to find the option.
Oh, are you able to get the component on there?
Yes,
Nav mesh level?
oh no, wait, it's
Or nav mesh surface, I'm sorry.
only giving me the options for agent and obstacle.
Hmm. Do you want to share your screen real quick? Maybe have a look together. Taylor, were you able to get your nav mesh baked? Nav mesh
That's working for
surface.
me.
Okay. It's kind of small, isn't it? How do I? Pin to screen. There we go. Yeah, where is the nav mesh surface component that you added?
Well, again, so when I go to add component and begin to type in nav mesh, all I can select are agent and obstacle.
Put in SUR like surface.
It didn't show up for that either.
Yeah, it's strange. It's showing up on mine. It's Taylor, did you have to copy the nav mesh surface over from the day 8 project? Maybe that's actually what's going on here. Yeah, it looks like that nav mesh surface might have been an add-on. Yeah, let me put those components into a zip file real quick, and I'll put them on the Slack. Make sure, yeah, that you have these nav mesh components. There you go. Oh, yeah.
Right, and where would I put it in the folder?
You can put it anywhere in your project, actually. Scripts, really, it doesn't matter where in the project you put them. Some scripts have to go inside of an editor folder. That's really kind of the only special case is that, yeah, if it's editor code, then it needs to go into an editor folder. But you can put the editor folder anywhere. It can even be a subfolder of another folder, just as long as the folder name itself is called editor. Because yeah, actually in the zip file that I posted, there is an editor. There is an editor folder, and
So it would work if I just placed nav mesh components, the folder, into the directory of the project.
yep.
All right.
And then, yeah, then you'll get all of those additional components.
Where would they show up?
They should show up right at the top in the assets, right next to all of your models folder, prefabs folder, scripts folder.
I see. Okay.
And then, yeah, your big button should work. Looks like. Yeah, I'll go ahead and share my screen again. So we can follow along. Oh yeah, Taylor posted additional information about how you can add nav mesh surface to your scene. It's in game object AI, and then
I think the second link works better.
yeah.
It's in the same section. There's like one level
Yep.
up.
Yep. And yeah, the Unity documentation is actually quite good for the most part. And so, yeah, if you ever get stuck and your component isn't behaving the way you would expect it to, the Unity manual is there to help. And they do update it, and you can go back and look at older versions of documentation if you're using a not newest version of Unity. Yeah, it's thorough. It's my first go-to reference if I'm ever stuck on something is the Unity documentation. They have forums and things as well that are pretty good, but the documentation is definitely useful. Sometimes the forum stuff isn't that helpful. Sometimes it is, especially if it's a specific problem. Because if it is a specific problem, sometimes the documentation doesn't tell you how to solve a problem. It's more or less the manual, and then it's kind of up to you to figure out how to fix the problem with the tools that you're given. Yeah, let's hit present again. So yeah, I went ahead and I added my nav mesh, and I did the baking, and then I only added my nav mesh agent to this one female avatar, and then we basically need to add additional functionality onto our either our mouse hover over. Otherwise, let's go ahead and just create a new script. We'll call it move by AI. And then we'll add that to our humanoid here. Double click on that script. It's supposed to open up here. I'm actually gonna cheat a little bit and go copy some of the code that we used from last week into here. So if our mouse button is actually right mouse button, not left mouse button, then we want to get the point, and then we can set our nav mesh agent. Pretty sure I can pretty much copy it verbatim. We don't have add destination anymore, and need to make sure that we're including the AI package, Unity Engine AI package. Yeah, if it's got little squigglies, usually it's got a helpful hint. And in this case, it was smart enough to know that, yeah, we're missing this package at the top. So now I think we should be able to come back over to our scene. Everything was baked. And we should be able to hit play. And yeah, if we left click on something, it destroys it. Right click will send her off to said location. If we want to be mean and set a gap here, actually, because we removed this collider, since we moved the game object in the collider, we can no longer left or right click on that location because our ray goes right through. So if we wanted to trick her, we would have to do a right click and then a left click and then get rid of it. And now, that's interesting. The AI component is able to overcome the forces of gravity. So our gravity is only 9.8, and our nav mesh agent is able to overcome, I think. Yeah, as soon as we turned it off, she disappeared. Where'd she go? I think she's probably falling now if we double clicked. Yeah, falling into the oblivion. And I think it is kind of interesting that her speed from the agent was able to override the gravity. Because the speed's only 3.5, I would have guessed that the gravity would have overcome the steering power of the mesh agent. If we wanted to, we could go back into our script. Remember our script from the previous day. Once you got to the destination, you basically quit trying to go to that destination. Yeah, we just have to add the at destination variable again, and then she would definitely fall through the street and yeah, kind of fall into oblivion. That's sometimes a useful game mechanic, is to lure your enemies into a pit, and yeah, it's just kind of a useful game design technique in order to kill bad guys, not necessarily hit them with a weapon, but to just get them to fall into a pit. Can be a useful game design technique. Yeah, we won't focus too much about her not falling through the street. I think it has to do with, yeah, her mesh agent overriding it, although it is kind of peculiar that the gravity doesn't overpower this steering speed. Yeah, are you guys pretty familiar now with the capsule collider or the different types of colliders? I mean, do we want to continue with examples on that? Oh, one of the things I wanted to test is to see if she goes down this alleyway or not. I was kind of curious. In order to be able to see behind the building, we're going to have to do something interesting with our camera, though, right? We have to move our camera to a position where it's able to see the level. So let's go ahead and pull it out here. Or we almost need to bring it up and then kind of rotate it downwards a little bit. You guys are familiar, hopefully now, with all the handles and things. No, we're wanting to go in the, let's see here, X rotation. There. We're still not really able to see behind the building like we wanted to. Maybe we could either go up higher. Problem is, the higher we go up, we're almost not going to be able to see the whole city, or be able to see our lady move to where we wanted to try and test and get her to move behind the building. Let's move it over here. How about now? Maybe now we'll be able to at least see it. See what happens when we tell her to go here. This is the nice thing about being in the scene, is that you can see exactly what she's doing here. Actually, it seems like she is stuck. Our nav mesh baking didn't work quite as well as we want. There's something that's prohibiting her from jumping over. Remember last time we, in order to fix this, we just allowed the jumping to be higher. So if we come in here and we go to our humanoid profile, we set the step height. Let's increase that so that you can jump up a little bit higher. I think, yeah, part of the reason it worked better last week is because our ball only had a height of like 1. And these avatars here, their height is quite a bit more. I think it's yeah, closer to 2. So let's try this one more time. See if we can't get her to go down the alleyway. First go there, then maybe over here. Oh. I'm gonna guess that she got, oh no, she did manage to make it down past the dumpsters and behind the building using the nav mesh. Yeah, you can't really see it. Let's go ahead and swap out our, I think we have a function in here that takes input from the keyboard to move our zombies around. I'm pretty sure. Ooh, now she'll be able to navigate pretty easily without that building. Ooh. Notice.
Is there a trick to zoom into your selected object quickly?
The one in the, so that your scene goes to the.
While editing, you want to jump to a close on an object, because I'm having issues like navigating on this little city thing. Like zooms super far out.
Yeah, so you can't do it in the game view, but in the scene view, all you have to do is double click on the object and it'll put you right in front of it.
Oh, double click. Oh, thank you.
Double click.
It's in a line to press F, and that wasn't working for me.
Yeah, F is kind of to follow it, but in order to get onto it in the first place, you just double click. Single click is to select, and then double click is to kind of go to. And then once you're there, you can orbit and zoom and rotate and look. It looks like even though we got rid of our extra buildings, the nav mesh actually did not rebake. And so, yeah, I'm not sure. There's probably a function inside of the nav mesh agent or the nav mesh what's surface that rebakes at runtime. Just because, yeah, we can get rid of our objects, but then it seems like she's still very confused about trying to get to the destination that we gave her. So let's add a couple of keys or a couple of scripts that allow us to manipulate the camera with keys, right? Because we can't see very well. Let's make AWSD functions that manipulate the transform of the main camera. That'll be, yeah, our last kind of example, basic example of how to do transform manipulation with an input controller. So it's up to you guys if you want to create a new script for it, or if you want to put it on a pre-existing script. Maybe better to create a new one called move camera. And then just an update, manipulate the transforms position in using probably vector3.forward is the best, because then you know that you're moving forward, as opposed to if you try and do it any other way, then the rotation could mess it up. I think if you wanted to cheat, there's already some base code for this in the move player function. And actually, I don't know if I went over this. Remember, we were having an issue with the GUI not triggering whether something was pressed down or not. You were right, Taylor. There is no shortcut functionality in Unity where you can detect if something's being held down or not. You actually have to add a private variable to keep track of whether or not a button is being held down or not.
This is where I crashed my theme last time, because I did like a while loop, and I think you're right. Use the update statement, and you kind of can trigger that thing up and down depending on the press.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there might be some extensions somebody wrote, but without that, it's probably the way to do it.
Yep. No, this is, I looked for probably 30, 45 minutes, and this is really the only way to do it. It's kind of a bummer. There's like you said, there's probably packages out there. I know that NGUI does do this automatically. That's the package I use. I don't think NGUI is free anymore, or it never was free, but the code's not too bad. It's just a matter of putting in a bool to keep track of whether or not the key is pressed, and then a function that sets it to true and a function that sets it to false. But yeah, let's go ahead and can use these base functions almost as like a starter template here. Instead of key up, we'll have W. Maybe camera.main transform translate. We're going to translate it by vector3.forward. We've got a key, and we can go left. Got D, and we go right. And if we've got this, we go down, or no, backward. I think this should allow us to manipulate our game camera. Ooh, it's a little intense, a little fast. If we wanted to add a dampering variable to this, we would just take our vector and let's make the dampering variable something that we can set in the inspector. We'll call it, it's a float, and let's call it camera movement dampering coefficient. Dampering's fine. And the default value is 1 by default. You can take a vector and multiply it times, it's called a scalar actually. In this particular instance, the floating point value is a scalar. Yeah, it's 3D math. It can get kind of complicated, but Unity helps simplify it. So now if we come back over to our game here, and I forgot, yeah, we put it here. Here's our dampering. If we wanted to make it not quite so crazy, we could change it to 0.5. And now we can use our keys to maneuver around and change our camera. It should really help if we could go up and down as well, in addition to left and right. Because once you zoom in, there's really no, yeah. Ha. And that would be easy, right? You just add 2 more cases to our script here, where we could use other keys to move the camera up and down as well. Let's do U and how about J? I guess J is one that's right under U. This will be down and up. Now we've got all 6 degrees of freedom from manipulating our camera. You could also do things with the mouse as well. Or scripting, yeah. All kinds of cool things you can do in Unity. Yeah, do you guys have any questions? Taylor, you said you probably weren't going to be able to attend next class. But Adam, is there anything in particular you wanted me to cover next class? Otherwise, maybe I'll just come up with some more examples and stuff. But if there is anything in particular that we haven't covered that you still want to cover, or if there's something that wasn't clear, a particular section or component or system inside of Unity that you want to cover next class. So yeah, we've been through most of the things in our this section here. We could go over physics a little bit more. Yeah, I feel like we didn't really cover coroutines all that extensively. Problem with coroutines is they're just a little trickier. Yeah.
They're just like background tasks, aren't they?
Yep, they're extra threads, basically. That's how Unity handles multi-threading. Yeah, we should have covered that more this class period. But there's a few really good video examples out there. I'll try and find those and post those as well. But yeah, if you need to start a side thread, for example, if you're accessing a database or something, you want to do that inside of a coroutine. It's super easy to start a coroutine. All you do is go and type in start coroutine, and then you pass in the coroutine function, and it'll start doing that thing either immediately, or you can put in a delay if you want.
This Thursday is the last day that we have, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, Thursday is our last day. Class has been going on for 5 weeks now, and yeah, it was good. We got through, I think, all of the Unity essentials and even some of the more complex stuff. Yeah, and I'll be available. I think Aaron's going to leave the Slack channel going. Otherwise, you guys can email me if you want. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, if you have questions on stuff, if you're stuck on something and want me to take a look, we can always hop on Zoom and do a screen share. Usually I'm pretty good at finding out what's wrong with something, especially if it's if you're starting a project from scratch.
I wonder if it'd be kind of cool if you could talk about some of the things you worked on with Unity, and what do you do? Because it sounds like you work with this professionally, don't you?
Yeah. So here I'll pop up Space World. Space World is our kind of premier game, I guess. Let me swap. Well, yeah, it's hard to do two screens at once. Let's just go over the Unity project, I guess. We have an audio folder, inside of our root folder. We have a GUI folder where we keep all of our GUI stuff. We have a model folder. We keep all of the models, plugins. Resources is an important folder because this is where you put all of your prefabs that you want to instantiate at runtime, different scenes, different scripts. Streaming assets are where you put your videos and things, and then toolkits are very similar to plugins. Yeah, here's our scene right here in our game. You can hit Control P. Control P is the not print but play in Unity, and so it would be the equivalent of me pressing the play button behind here. So once the game gets opened here, we have a camera controller that allows us to do orbiting and things in our software. We have a set camera controller where you can go to the different planets and things. Jupiter here has actually got an animated video texture. Unity can do video textures as well. Yeah, we've got a database controller that connects to our database in the back end. These are all kind of camera tricks from our camera controller. We've got a menu system. A lot of this stuff is just using the hover over techniques that we used the last couple of days. Trying to think of some of the more fancy things that we do with the lighting. You can see how the International Space Station gets eclipsed by the Earth here. We are able to achieve that effect because over here in our hierarchy, in our solar system, we have all of the different planets, and these different planets are actually on different layers, and so we have different lights for the different layers, and that's how we handled the sun casting shadows on the different planets, because really the sun kind of comes off in all directions, but you don't want shadows being cast on certain things unless a planet is eclipsing them. And so yeah, we're able to achieve that effect by having our different directional lights. These are all directional lights on different layers for the different planets. Let's see here. We've got, if we hit stop here, you'll see that pretty much all of our menus are prefabs. And the prefabs have buttons, but a lot of those buttons are actually generated at runtime. The things in your inventory menu, it's different from player to player. And so, yeah, a lot of the buttons and things are located here in resources where, yeah, the buttons themselves are prefabs inside of menus. Yeah, here's all the different types of buttons. Buy buttons, inventory buttons, go to different location buttons, filter buttons. Yeah, there's a lot of interaction and menus in our product. We have a music manager. And the music, if you want something to not get destroyed when you load a different scene, there is a Unity function called don't destroy on load. All you have to do is pass a game object into that function, and whenever you load a different scene, it will not destroy that game object. Because normally if you load a new scene, it wipes everything and loads the new scene. Don't destroy on load allows you to have game objects that persist from one scene to the next. There's also an additive loading function where, say you've got a large level and you don't want to have any load time in between the loading of two levels, you can actually start preloading the next scene before the old one goes away. That's kind of a useful function. More advanced, right? That's a optimization function. Not really necessary, but if you really don't want to have any load time in between scenes, you can use Unity's dynamic loading system. Yeah, we use a singleton methodology for our menu controller, and that way you can call menu controller.instance, and then you immediately have access to all of the functionality of the menu controller without having to instantiate anything, because it instantiates itself basically. And then at the same time, we have references to all of the menus inside of the menu controller as well. Some people don't like to use one big singleton class for everything in Unity. I find it useful though. There's some memory overhead, but at the same time, any menu can access any other menu, which can be useful. Down here in our code routines, this pause for tween is a tween is basically like a short animation. It's like a lerp, but for a GUI. and all this UI stuff. This has to do with our NGUI package that we use. Canvas is just as good and newer and it's supported by Unity rather than a third-party developer. Trying to think. Yeah, we don't use too many other crazy features or functions. We use pretty much all of the base functions that Unity has. Localization. I don't know if Unity has. I think Canvas actually has a built-in localization feature. We use the one that comes prepackaged with NGUI. Yeah, I know I've been talking a lot about NGUI, but I would not advise using it. We're too far into our development cycle to get rid of the system at this point. We would break our entire UI, which is, really, really large at this point. But Canvas is very powerful and it operates very much like NGUI. It's just easier to use and it's supported by Unity. So I would definitely use Canvas. That's what we've been using this whole class. And so, the only other tips and pointers I would say is, there's a lot of player settings and things. We have some scripts because there's some mini games and things that change some of these player settings, and so you can actually create scripts that fire before or after you perform a build. What you do is put in some pre-processing flags, and then you can also inherit from the preprocess build class, and then this will allow you to build tools and algorithms that run before and after you build your game. One of the things that you may run into is not getting the game to build as expected, especially if you're trying to do things for iOS. You have to have Xcode, and Xcode requires you to do some application signing and things that can be kind of tricky. Those are more specific to iOS. There's in-app purchasing packages out there that help simplify in-app purchasing. If you want to put your game on Steam, Steam has a Steamworks package that you can download. A lot of these functions aren't really that special, but it's putting it all together to make it into a game that's fun. And a lot of that just has to do with testing the software. So, if you guys don't have any other questions, we'll pick up on Thursday for our last class. We'll probably do a couple of examples again. So, and Adam, if there's anything in particular that you want to cover, just let me know before class. Ideally tomorrow. So. Okay, cool. You guys have a good one, and Taylor, please keep in touch if you need anything.
I found your LinkedIn request, so I accepted it. I was looking for you.
Okay, Cool.
I looked
All
up
right,
your.
well,
I don't know.
go
This is
ahead.
outside of the Unity stuff. I looked up your Space World website. So you guys do a platform for universities or high schools and elementary schools or something?
Yeah, um, most of our customers are middle schools in the area that license our software, after school programs where we come in and yeah, we've got a person on site who can help kids with the games. We do a lot of recording of how they're performing in the application too. I only showed you guys the astronomy part, but there's an algebra section. There's a science section. Yeah, we have a couple of other modules in our software where kids can learn stuff.
So you kind of
And
install them on the elementary schools' computers. Is that right?
originally we did that, but that's actually a very difficult process. You end up having to coordinate with the school's IT person. We also have a bunch of iPads that we wheel around and we can hand them out to the students. Yeah, we got a big suitcase full of 25 iPads that we can hand out and take that suitcase from school to school. We're also working on the HTML5 build right now. Yeah, we've got a lot of graphics in our game, and we want to make sure that everything's running at 30 frames a second. But hopefully, we're going to have that online here in the next week or so, where, yeah, you'll be able to use all of our software just in a web browser because Unity supports HTML5 builds.
From what I can tell, it's only for elementary schools that can try it out, right? Are you guys looking at? Because I know they have like an in-progress store page.
Yeah, I've got a web developer right now that's working on a new intergalactic storefront for us. Actually, all that's hopefully coming online in the next week. Yeah, we're pretty busy right now. I hired a new developer a couple weeks ago, and yeah, our development team's as big as it's ever been actually.
You have a big team size. I was looking on the website.
Yeah, some of those people aren't necessarily developers. Some of them are teachers that are on site that help the students that are familiar with our software, but they're not necessarily techie people. Yeah, we had a voice actress who helped us out with the tutorial that you go through right when you start the game that walks you through the menu systems and stuff. Yeah, PR person, but yeah, right now we've got a couple of new developers that aren't on the website yet. They'll be on the new website because, yeah, we've got a completely new website that's supposed to be coming out in the next week or so.
Okay, cool.
All right, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, if you want to meet up in person, I guess whenever you get back in the area, yeah, I'd be down for that too. I live in Woodley Park area. I'm always up for meeting up for a coffee or a beer or something and talking shop.
Yeah, I'm in Alexandria. That'd be cool.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's one of the problems with this online stuff is that you can't really, yeah, we can't do a end of class happy hour or anything. But yeah, yeah, I'd be definitely down for a meetup in Alexandria sometime.
We're actually moving in July, but yeah, we can try to squeeze something in, or always just chat.
Oh, okay. Where are you moving to Utah, or where are you guys moving?
Right now the plans go to Florida.